Formative architecture means, in a sense, it's asking of architecture, how does it perform in the physical environment? Does it, for example, encourage us to interact or not, and all of that? So it's less about that thing about that narrow view of, oh, I'm doing this aesthetics or something like that. It's more about how it makes the city come alive in a way, or how that works. In terms of the experience city thing, which obviously, they're using the word experience in a slightly wider sense than we do in English. In English, we tend to think that experience means having fun or entertainment and so on. They're using the word experience more in the German sense, which is Erlebnis and Erfahrung. Those are two words which both mean experience. And that has within it the word living, alive, and all of that in it. But what it means when you say it in German, for example, it means the learning city, the city that is cultivating you and also ultimately perhaps entertaining you. So it's a broader concept of the experience city. I think what they've discovered is obviously they've discovered that the classic theming and all of that is actually too narrow and doesn't do precisely these other things like encourage learning, because it's pre-digested. I mean, the difference between Disney and a learning experience is, to some extent, Disney is pre-digested for you. And so what they're covering, obviously, is if someone else is theming, they're already guiding your thoughts, which isn't allowing you to, in a sense, I always use those phrases, make, shape, co-create, which is why, obviously, those unfinished buildings, which they also have in that city, which again they've turned into these centres, are ones where you feel you can, it's not finished. It's not finished. It's not sanitized. It's not complete. You feel as a participant in it, you are helping to make it or be involved and so on. So those are some of the. Well, that's not very many insights, but that's the core insight.
So how do you? How can you be explicit about that? Because to some extent, what you describe is the city, right? So how can you be intentional about this?
Oh, in terms of policy, you mean, for
yes,
example? Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, in terms of policy, for example, one of their policies, their university is 7 kilometres outside of the city. They want it in the heart of the city. They're redoing the waterfront. They have, in fact, on the waterfront, on some of the most expensive land, they've put student housing. So, I'm just giving that example. They put a learning institution into the city to be part of it, but also they're not trying to maximise the profit at every element of this rethinking that whole city. Aalborg, by the way, is the place where John Utzon comes from, the guy who built the Sydney Opera House. So he's built a very discreet, not shouting. His last work is called the Utzon Centre, which is where our event was, which is quite small and quite pleasant and so on.